All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling a huge, and I mean huge question. Why do we believe things? We're going to break down the science behind what is honestly one of the most powerful forces that shapes our entire lives. We're going to see if we are truly, fundamentally wired for belief. I mean, really think about it for a second. Every single human culture you look across all of history, they all have some kind of belief system. So, is that just a giant coincidence? Or is there something much, much deeper going on inside our brains? And the way these beliefs show up is incredibly diverse. You've got everything from ancient gods and complex afterlife rituals, all the way to modern political ideologies and the online tribes we form. The specifics, the stories, they change all the time. But that underlying drive to believe, that seems to be a constant. And that leads us to the core idea we're digging into today. The evidence really suggests that this universal need to believe isn't some random accident or a cultural quirk. Nope, it's a fundamental feature of how we are wired. So let's follow the clues and see why that is. So our first clue takes us way, way back. We're talking deep into our evolutionary past. Because as it turns out, the tendency to believe things might have given our ancestors a massive edge in the very high-stakes game of survival. At the center of all this is a concept with a pretty great name, the Hyperactive Agency Detection Device, or HAD for short. Basically, this is our brain's default setting. It's this tendency to assume that someone or something with intention is behind things, especially when things are a little unclear. You can think of it as our brain's built-in better safe than sorry system. Let's just do the quick evolutionary math here, okay? Imagine you're one of our ancestors. You hear a rustle in the tall grass. Now, if you believe it's a predator and you run, you survive, even if it was just the wind. No big deal. But if you doubt, if you assume it's the wind and you wait, and you're wrong, well, you might just become lunch. Over thousands of generations, evolution just favored the brain that made the safer bet, the one that saw agency everywhere. Okay, so let's move on to our second clue. We're going to zoom in from our deep evolutionary past right into the here and now and take a look at the actual hardware and software that's running inside our skulls. Belief isn't just one little light switching on in one part of the brain. It's more like a big committee meeting. You've got your prefrontal cortex, that's kind of the CEO trying to evaluate all the information logically. Then you have the temporal lobes. They're like the security team, always scanning for intention and agency. And then there's the limbic system. That's the emotional core of the whole operation. It stamps every belief with a feeling that makes it feel true and really, really personal to you. And this whole process gets reinforced by a really powerful chemical reward. See, when our brain finds a pattern that feels meaningful, when it connects the dots in a way that makes sense to us, it gives us a little hit of dopamine. And that chemical feels good. It gives us a sense of certainty, of comfort. It's this perfect little feedback loop that makes the very act of believing feel, neurologically satisfying. But here's the thing. Belief isn't just a solo activity that's happening inside one person's head. Our third clue shows us that one of its most powerful functions is actually social. It's all about how we believe together. So belief really works on two super important levels. For you, the individual, it's a great tool for managing anxiety and getting that nice dopamine hit. But for the group, it's the ultimate social glue. Shared beliefs, which get reinforced by rituals and shared stories, they build the trust and cooperation that are absolutely essential for communities, cultures, and even entire civilizations to thrive. Okay, so we've looked at the evolutionary pressures, we've looked at the neuroscience, we've looked at the social function. Now let's pull all these clues together and see what this ancient wiring actually means for us, right here in the modern world. And here's the real challenge, right? We are running ancient software on some very modern hardware. Our brains, which are wired to find patterns and to trust our group, are now just completely flooded with information. Social media creates these perfect echo chambers that just amplify our biases. And that makes us incredibly vulnerable to everything from fake news to all sorts of manipulation, whether it's commercial or political. So this brings us all the way back to our big question. We've seen how belief helped us survive, we've seen how our brains literally reward us for it, and we've seen how it binds us together. So what's the final verdict here? Looking at all the evidence, the verdict is pretty unambiguous. Yes, the human brain is not a blank slate. It comes preloaded with this powerful, persistent, and just deeply ingrained tendency to form beliefs. And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Our biology gives us the raw drive to look for patterns and to create meaning. We are, at our core, meaning-making machines. But these specific beliefs we end up with, the stories, the ideologies, the faiths, all of that comes from our environment. Our culture is what provides the script that our hardwired brain then performs. So we want to leave you with this final thought. Knowing that your brain is designed to believe, that's not a weakness. It's actually the ultimate form of self-awareness. The real question then becomes, now that you know you're wired to believe, how are you going to consciously choose what to believe?